I'm 33, female, and I've been married to my husband, 34, male, for the past 8 years. Our relationship is a bit rocky when it comes to our parents. They never quite accepted my husband as a worthy partner of mine. The reason for it being something extremely stupid. My husband is not from a financially affluent family. He grew up in a single parent household and he has been working since he was really young. Because of that, he never had the opportunity to go to university. While his interest lay in data science and computer sciences, he simply could not afford to go to college when he was 18. While I, being from the family that I am, had the opportunity to go and get a degree. Because of that, my parents are of the mindset that my husband is not an educated person and he for sure does not deserve to be with me. That is not an okay thing to say or to think. I tried my level best to explain to my parents that yes, while he does not have a degree, he is quite affluent in his skill set and has worked in data recovery, hardware work, etc., and he's not broke. Furthermore, our house can be sustained on the money that we both earn and not just his. But my parents had a different view. They think that without a degree, you cannot succeed in life. And sure, they have provided me a girl with the opportunity of a higher education, but it is not because they want me to earn the money and provide for the family. No. It is because having a degree would increase my market value. If you are struggling to understand their twisted thought process, you're not the only one because I do not get it either. However, I've tried to be open to their comments and to understand their mentality, and after trying for a while, I gave up on that. I decided we would be better off lowering contact with them as nothing good came out of the arguments that we kept having. So you can imagine how tense family gatherings tend to be. While we were stuck in lockdown, my husband decided that it would be better to finish his degree while he is stuck at home. Since we were working from home, it was not an issue. He was halfway through the degree when the lockdown was lifted. Because of that, for the past 1.5 years, things have been a bit hectic for me to handle. He is currently in his last semester, and so far, his scores are amazing. I don't regret supporting him in the slightest. Fast forward to now, owing to the hectic schedule that I mentioned before, I was unable to host a Thanksgiving dinner this year, and I was also unable to attend it. That is why my parents insisted that I host a dinner on Easter. My parents wanted to see how our life has been after the lockdown, and I decided to accept the offer. I knew it was going to be tough, but I wanted to show my parents that my husband is doing his level best to provide for me and our family, and this dinner would have been the best way of doing that. I meticulously planned out everything. I did not want to give them even the slightest chance to critique him or our marital life. The dinner went perfectly fine except for one tiny speed bump. I told my husband to bring the dessert. I wanted him to go to the nearest store and get a big tub of ice cream for dessert as I will come home from work and I'll be busy cooking for everyone. My husband forgot to do that. He got out of his online class and decided to help me around the house. We both got a bit distracted and we both did not remember to bring the dessert. When it was time for dessert, however, that was when I realized the mistake. My parents, being the way they are, started complaining about him. They criticized him and said how careless he was and how I should have married someone better. I will not lie, I got a bit upset with how everything was turning up. Everything was perfect, and the moment there was this tiny thing that was amiss, everything came crumbling down. I excused myself with my husband and took him to the kitchen where I expressed my feelings towards him. It was an argument for sure, but it was not a malicious argument. It was me being angry and venting how frustrated I was. I told him how at the moment I felt like it was his fault, but I knew it was not his fault as he was helping me around the house as well. After like 5 minutes of that, we went through the pantry and decided to make flan for everyone. The flan came out smooth and delicious, and once the dessert was done, everybody left seemingly happy, but all hell broke loose 3 days after that. My parents separated when I was about 3 years old, and my bio mom had no contact with us, and my dad married my stepmom when I was 7. All my life, I have known my stepmom and considered her as my mom, even though on a technicality she is my stepmom. So with my stepmom came my stepsister, who is 2 years older than me. My stepsister, who's married, by the way, decided to record the argument that I had with my husband and sent it to the extended family group chat. She even edited it to make it sound like he was being the abusive one and he intentionally did not bring the dessert when that is not even the case. While I tried my best to understand where the disappointment with my husband came from, the disrespect that she was showing my husband was not at all acceptable. As she sent the video to the extended family group, all the cousins, aunts, and uncles were upset with my husband. I received several messages from them telling me how sorry they felt for me, how abusive my husband is, how I deserve better, etc. Hearing all of those made me extremely angry. I decided that I should do something to get back at her. When I was planning my stepsister's wedding, I was making a video for her wedding. In the unedited wedding video, there is a particular scene where she mentions how she's marrying her rich husband because of his high market value and because he can provide her with the white picket fence dream she had always wanted without lifting a finger. Obviously, when I made the final wedding video, it was edited out, but in the unedited video, that particular part was there. She was speaking with her best friends about that while drinking champagne, and I decided to edit the video the way she edited the video of my husband. I will be honest, I did not think about the consequences before I sent the video. In my eyes, all I saw was red, and I wanted to get revenge and hit send. I watched how the whole family group turned against my stepsister. Since I hit send, I have been receiving a lot of messages from my parents and my sister herself who thinks I am an a-hole for doing that. Do you guys think I'm an a-hole? Update 1. I saw a few things you guys are asking. I will clarify them here so that you guys can come to a better judgment. 1. My parents, dad and stepmom, are both well educated, so our extended family looks up to them. My parents love showing themselves as very ultra-liberal feminist mindset, when in reality they were much more orthodox and toxic. So when I sent the video, which also had my parents agreeing to her in the background, that ruined their image in the eyes of the family. 2. My stepsister and her husband have been having a lot of marital issues. The biggest problem in their life is the mindset that my stepsister has thanks to my parents. She does not lift a finger to help the family, and because of that, my brother-in-law has been struggling to make ends meet as due to COVID, his finances are a bit short. 3. My husband does not know about my deed or the recording. I do not want to share it with him because I know he tried his best every day and he does not deserve to be painted as the bad guy when he is not. He's a great man who deserves a lot of things, and getting kicked down like this is not one of those. I hope these things help you guys understand why I am getting called TA and how terrible the family situation is right now. Update 2. Hey everyone, I listened to what you had to say and thank you for all of your opinions. I think you guys are right. I will tell my husband about the situation because he is someone whose opinion matters the most to me. As far as my family is concerned, they have been blowing up my phone since then. My stepsister wants me to get rid of the video, and I have asked her to get rid of the video recording. If she does not do that, I will not be doing it either. I have told her that, and she's not very happy about this. Everyone in the family is telling me that I'm being extremely petty and that just because my stepsister decided to expose my husband that way, I do not have to make a scene like this. I've tried explaining why I have done what I have done, but they simply refuse to understand my side of the story. In their eyes, what my stepsister did is completely justified. Yes, even the editing bit. While what I did is completely petty BS. I cannot deal with this family, to be honest. Update 3. Hey everyone. I told my husband about the situation, and while he thinks I'm being petty, he is happy that I'm supporting him. In other news, I have decided that this is the hill I am willing to die on. I've told my family clearly that I do not accept their ill treatment towards my husband, and while I have given them several chances before, this recording was the last straw. I do not plan on forgiving them unless they are willing to understand that their behavior is not okay. My parents have uninvited me from Thanksgiving this year, and I do not care. I'd rather be with the man who loves me and helps me grow than be with a family that refuses to care about my feelings. This is the hill that I have chosen to die on, and I am okay with being blocked by the whole family. So this is where the story of my family from hell ends. Wow, what a shit show. They sound like a whole circus. I hate that they are treating your husband this way. It is not important to have a degree to lead a financially stable life. I think your family is BS. Good on you for doing what you've done. I do not think you are TA at all. They deserved it. NTA, they deserved it. Your stepsister should not be throwing stones when she lives in a glass mansion herself. Some sort of entitlement she has. Next story. Back in October, I decided to buy myself a new car, a used 2020 Jeep Compass. The first vehicle I've gotten myself in over a decade. My nephew began college over the summer but had no car for transportation, and I was only going to get between $500 to $1,000 for it for trade-in or sale anyway, so I decided to be a cool uncle and give it to him for free as his first vehicle. It was a 2008 Dodge and in pretty good shape, drove well, but had some problems such as the oil pan leaking and some other minor work. So I brought it up with my brother and his father, of course, that I wanted to give my nephew my old car as a gift for free. I wasn't asking for any money from them, but made it clear that they would have to pay for anything pertaining to the transfer to them and update the inspection or anything else that needed to be done. I let them know of any problems I knew of with it. When asked why I was getting a new car, I told them I had thought it was time and I had a job and budget to get one. I'd been thinking about it for a few years and finally decided I should just do it. They agreed and they took it to a mechanic. They trusted he had to do about $540 worth of work on it for brakes, inspection, oil pan, and some other minor work. He said not to worry about the bill, he'd work it up later. My nephew was excited when we gave it to him when he was visiting on the weekend. So now he doesn't have to bum rides or take a bus. Well, a couple of months go by and the mechanic finally gets around to making out the repair bill that, as I said, came out to about $540. Well, my brother now wants me to pay the bill and says I should have paid for all the work before I even gave it to my nephew. My response was, I told you what condition I knew about the car and that any repairs or transfer payments would be their responsibility. Now they're acting like I've cheated them somehow, when all I can think is that I gave them a car at no additional cost other than repairs, and somehow I'm the a-hole? What do you guys think? Should I have paid or chipped in for the repairs or what? Edit. My nephew is pretty freaking awesome and is the only reason I'm not demanding the car back. He's super grateful about it and would pay for it, but his father said he'd take care of it and not to worry. So he doesn't know any of this is happening and he wouldn't go against his father anyways. The only one that's causing any kind of fuss is my brother, his father. My mother is upset because she agrees with what everyone has said so far, but my brother has an attitude problem about the strangest things and she wants to pay for it to avoid any family fighting or drama. I've told her don't do it, but I'm assuming she will behind my back just to keep my brother happy. Edit 2. By the time the car was taken to the mechanic, the car was completely in their name. Not sure if nephews or my brother's. Title and all, as far as the DMV was concerned, the car was the property of my nephew. Also, I was accused of not telling them everything that was wrong with the car. I told him that I told them everything that I knew of at the time, and if and when they took it to a mechanic, there may be more wrong with it, since I'm not a mechanic myself. NTA. Hey, since the car being gifted to y'all has seemingly created drama, let me just take it back from y'all and sell it for parts. No worries at all. I don't want to stress you all anymore. NTA, you told them what the deal was. They accepted it. Now they want to change the rules. If they mention it again, politely tell them that if the repairs are too much, you'll gladly take the vehicle back. But those are the options. Either shut up and pay the bill or give it back. Next story. Hi everyone. We recently purchased an attached row house on a corner lot, meaning we only have one neighbor to the right of us. There are 4 units in total. There's another house that faces our backyards that has a fence installed facing B, C, D's backyards, but not ours. All units have front yards. After having a land survey completed, we began to renovate our backyard, including installing fencing to close in the backyard and provide some privacy, as it had previously been completely open. We spoke to town zoning, which confirmed fencing requirements. Under 6 feet, requires no permit. Posts can be placed right up to the property line, and our fence contractor began to work on getting it up. By closing in our backyard, it was completely closed in our neighbor, B, as the abutting properties to her already had fences installed. Our neighbor, B, rents the property, and the landlord had previously asked if we would be open to installing a gate between the 2 properties, as there is a shared basement door unit divided by the property line. Our door is on one side, theirs on their side. And he would hate for us to have to remove our panel if they needed to replace a hot water heater or anything in the basement. Being new neighbors and wanting to be considerate, we agreed, but said that the gate would be locked. We consulted our town zoning and fire marshal departments, and all said that we would not have to provide any access to our neighbor. But we decided to leave the gate up since we had already paid for it to be installed, and we locked the gate from our side. There is another gate entrance at the front of our driveway, which also has a locking mechanism, so people cannot simply open the gate and enter our backyard. We told the landlord that we would have both gates locked, that B was not to enter our property, and that the only reason we would open the gate for the landlord if he asked for permission in advance. Today, B came and confronted us about why she cannot access our backyard. We explained that it is our private property that we own and that we are not required to allow her access to it. She tried guilt-tripping us by saying that she lives alone and if there's an emergency, she will not be able to escape. Again, we explained that both gates are locked for our privacy and protection, to protect things in our backyard, shed, to allow for us to have a safe space to be outside, etc., and that even if the attached gate was not locked, she would still be trespassing on our property and remain locked in, just in our backyard instead of hers. She was pretty heated about it, and while I understand the situation she's in, she chose to rent out an interior unit that is surrounded by other people who own their own properties and can do what they like with them. We are not obligated to keep our backyard open just in case there happens to be an emergency at some point and she needs to escape. Or does this make us the a-holes? NTA, you already paid extra to have gates installed in the fence. Should have asked the other landlord to reimburse you for that if he wanted it. You put up the fence legally, following the code. So what is there to do? I do understand your neighbor's feelings, though. Her backyard is not an escape route anymore. But what are the chances of using it as an escape route anyway? NTA. I live in a townhouse that is in the middle of the row. Our backyard is locked in. We access it through our house. Why would I demand my neighbors install a gate so I can access their backyards? Makes zero sense. Next story. A little backstory. I'm 48, male. My sister-in-law, 45, moved in with my wife, 47, female, myself, and our 3 kids, 18 male, 16 female, 13 male, a few months ago, due to her being kicked out of her old place. I have a job that pays me well and allows me to spoil my children, but they all know the value of $1. However, every week my wife and I give them $50 to spend on what they want as allowance, and they can earn more by doing chores. My sister-in-law has a job that gives her enough income for her to live comfortably, and she's supposed to be saving some to get a new place while living with us. Well, last week my sister-in-law heard my eldest son talking to his mother and me about what chores he can do to earn $75, and she asked us if we actually gave our children that much money, and that it was too much money for children to have, and we told her they were our children. We could give them however much we see fit to give them. I thought she dropped it, but I was wrong. Last night, my youngest son came to me and told me that his aunt had demanded he give her $40 from his money so she could go buy something. When he told her no, she apparently started screaming at him that he was an ungrateful brat and tried to grab his wallet and take the money. Immediately, I went to my 2 older children and asked them if she had ever asked or told them to give her money, to which my daughter responded that her aunt had asked her a couple of weeks beforehand if she could have $50. And my son told me that she had asked, but he always shut her down immediately, telling her he was saving for a car. After hearing this, I went to sister-in-law and told her to get her stuff and get out of my house, and that she was no longer allowed in it if she thinks it was okay to steal money from my kids, yell at my kids, and call them mean names. My wife thinks I went about it the wrong way, but that it was overall right. But her family thinks I was an a-hole for kicking her out and refusing to allow her in, and said that my children should have just given her the money because family helps family. So AITA for telling my sister-in-law she's no longer allowed at my house when she told my children to give her money? NTA, I can't believe this grown woman had the audacity to try and demand, steal from children. Someone else's children, for that matter, in a home their parents generously allow them to stay at for free. You did the right thing. Your wife is being a bit unfair for thinking you handled it poorly, but I think it's just because she knew her family was going to make a fuss, and I'm sure they're harassing her about it. As for the rest of the a-holes in the family, be sure to let them know you'll gladly reach out to your sister-in-law and let them know they're concerned for her and want to help her. Watch how quickly they'll change their story once it's them housing or financially assisting her. Family helps family? Okay, so let them take her in. I hate this quote so much. You do not have to let anyone treat you or your children badly just because they're family. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.